What is going on, everybody? Your boys are back. The Wolves of Ball Street. Your favorite draft analyst. My name's Corey Tulaba, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Albert Garbage Time Game, for another No Ceilings film sesh. Albert, how we doing today, dude?
Doing great. It's unbelievable to think about how close we're getting to the draft now. And so to be here with our special guest today, really exciting times. Obviously a lot to cover, but no, doing great. Excited for this one.
Yeah, let's introduce our guest right now. We have Villanova's Eric Dixon joining us today. So, Eric, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining the show.
Appreciate you guys having me on, man. Yeah, like he says, can't believe it's this close to draft time. Been working out a lot of preparation. So the day is almost here. So yeah, it's nice to be able to do this with you guys for sure.
Thinking about your next step now, right? Going to the NBA and thinking about what your role might look like in the NBA. How important is that to you? And what do you look at? Like, obviously, how do you feel like your game is going to translate to the next level, and what type of role you think they might be asking you to play?
It's one of those things I feel like every team kind of looks at something different from me. You look over, of course, my career, you can say, well, he can do this because he did it that year. He can do this because he did it the other year. So I think it's a team-to-team basis. I feel like whenever I go into to meet with these teams and talk to them, I feel like they all look for something a little bit different in my game, whether it be talking about screening and rolling, screening and popping, making decisions, stuff like that, being their tough physical presence, or obviously, this past season, everybody talks about me spacing the floor for them as well. So, it's kind of, I don't know. It's going to depend on where I land to kind of figure out my role, but definitely feel like I'll be able to fill it, whatever it is.
And so I think that's a good place to start with your film, because you knocked down 40.7% of your 7 attempts a game from behind the arc this year. It is, obviously some serious volume, some serious efficiency. And I mean, if you look at it, you got some range on that shot, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, again, this is one of those shots that my team, they were just, I was struggling this game. And they were just like, yo, E, like, you just got to keep going. You can't get shy. Rather go down with me shooting than not shooting this. So this is just one of those shots. Like, my teammates had so much confidence in me. I didn't even think about letting it go.
Yeah, and one of the funniest parts of a couple of the clips that I pulled for this is seeing Dan Hurley's reaction when you're letting it fly, just knowing, but that when you let it go with a clean look, you got a real good shot of that thing going in. But I mean, specifically being able to really stretch the floor. I mean, you're shooting this from the Jeep logo. What goes into building out that range that you can confidently, let it fly from there, and that feels like a good shot for you?
I'm really a feel guy. Whenever I get in the gym, I'm all about how the ball feel. Makes and misses. Obviously, I count my misses, but I'd rather miss and know why I missed than make it and not know why it went in. So for me, I don't ever, really look at where I am on the floor. I kind of see where the rim is, count on my work, and wherever the rim is, if it feels comfortable, I just let it go.
And we're going to kind of bounce around with your film here because you kind of see this here, right? You see that play out where just the threat of you being out on the perimeter at the 3-point line, gets bigs, kind of a little fidgety, and here, you take advantage. So take me through this possession and kind of what you're reading on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a good game this game, had a good feel for the ball, and, if he did not step up to contest it, I definitely would have let that go. But like I said, once I saw him get up on me and get into my space, it's no need for me to force a bad one. So just attack him, be physical. You see right away, I get right into his body, right into his hip. And, kind of especially in college, especially bigs, like defenders get real worried when you get contact on him. So the moment I get contact, you see he's going to react, like put his arms up, like, oh, no foul. So, they made it kind of easy, really, once I got down there, and just kind of make a decision from there.
Now you mentioned kind of your shooting versatility. You're more than just like a guy who could spot up, and here you get a little movement off to show off that shooting versatility. So what is the difference, I guess, when you're just spotting up in a stationary shot versus when you got to kind of fire off maybe a pin down or a flare or some kind of movement action?
Yeah, I think for me, I just try to have every shot feel the same. So a lot of times, in prior years, if I get into this shot, maybe I'm a little too excited, I'm a little too anxious. Maybe I jump a little higher, or I shoot a little bit harder. But for me, just trying to keep my form consistent. You see right here, I try not to jump too much. Try not to fade too much. Like I just try to get it up and straight up and straight down. So I'm always say in my mind. So just elbow up straight and let it go and kind of just let it fly.
So we've seen you stationary, we've seen you off movement, and I think because you are such a physical player at the next level. You mentioned like being able to pick and pop. I think isn't going to be an important aspect of your game because 23 points per game, nothing to sneeze at, but every rookie is going to have to come in and play a role and score effectively. When the ball's not in your hands and you're not creating. So talk to me about running ball screens. Another clip of Dan Hurley with his hands on his head, kind of freaking out when you get an open look. It seems like there was a miscommunication on this play between the defense.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're just they're in their hedge coverage. Whenever I see two on the ball and they're like this, and again, just I see space. Like I already knew that this was going off. The help defender is all the way down to elbow. Like he wasn't going to be able to get to me. But as far as screening and stuff like that goes, I mean, I'm excited for it. Like that's what got me on the floor when I got to college. Screening and being physical. Making shots and all that other kind of stuff came later on. But this right here is what did it for me. Screen, get that guy open. But in previous years it wouldn't be me shooting. You see this help defender, he's all the way in the paint. After this rotation happens, there's going to be a swing to Justin Moore or Jermaine Samuels, whoever that is on the wing in that situation. And just happens this year is me shooting it. But I'm also very well equipped, very accustomed to making that next extra pass, and then do you want better, hit that extra pass on the wing and then go to another screen. That was my entire year. So, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I said, that's how I started.
Yeah, and again, you're also showing off your reign here. Now, take me through this one. Similar situation, little pick and pop. This time you get a switch. If you can get this one back, what would you do differently here?
I mean, right here, I love Creighton. I got a lot of respect for their program, but Steven Ashworth switching on to me. He's about 6 foot. I just feel like I was open. Take it back. Probably could have drove downhill and did something a little bit different, but 6 foot, guarding 6'8", popping first shot that I've made throughout the year plenty, and I just thought it was a good shot at the time. And theoretically I could have drove that hill and did something different, but like I said, once I saw that, I just felt like it was going up anyway.
Now, we're showing your ability to screen, but you don't always just have to be a guy who's putting up shots out of the screen. You can mix it up. So take me through this possession, and then I guess ultimately like how you decide whether you should be popping or rolling.
I mean, general rule, I like to roll if I notice that they're switching, just because I don't want them to feel like that situation. That might have been the first time that Creighton had switched in that game, and so I had popped because I didn't realize it. But once I see they started switching, I generally try to attack guards on the blocks. I try not to get too 3-pointer happy. And then this screen right here, like, I don't know if you guys notice it, but like I'm on the low side of this guy, so that I have that advantage on the roll, so that he's on my high side. And something that me and my staff and me and my point guard really talked about a lot. Like, if there's any little nuances that I added in my game this year, as far as screening, it would be this right here. You see, like the Celtics do it a lot, I think, with Tatum. And they sent me clips of him doing it where he sets it and then he gets a low roll and just get that advantage, create an advantage any way you can. This game is late in the year. I'm averaging however many points. Everybody's trying to scout me and take me away. So just trying to make sure I can do the little things like getting this low side advantage and then, like you said, just making a read from here.
Eric, where does that toughness come from? Right, you being able to embrace that physicality, because look, we watch the league, we watch tons of basketball. You get some guys that are bigger, but they don't always embrace the toughness and the physicality of the game. For you personally, where does that come from in your basketball journey that made you so comfortable with that type of physicality?
I mean, like I said, when I was younger in high school and middle school, I considered myself an interior player. And on top of being an interior player, I grew up playing a lot of basketball in the city of Philadelphia, playing a lot of rec leagues, playing a lot of parks. And, I learned quick at a very young age. Like, if you're not tough, it's just not going to work. So if you're not physical, it's just not going to work. Like, a lot of times playing these park leagues, they're not calling any fouls, and especially me being younger, I was bigger. Like, referees like, oh, we're not calling it because he's bigger than him. That didn't affect him. That didn't hurt him. So it's just kind of been me, man. Like I said, I've never been vertically gifted, so to speak. So have to be physical, have to embrace that, try to get your space, knock guys off balance. It's kind of just where it came from. But yeah, just inner city basketball and understanding my strengths and weaknesses.
We've been watching a lot of clips of you kind of getting to it off the ball, but you could put in some work with the ball in your hands too. So take me through this possession and how you're sizing your defender up here.
Kind of a broken play, and Creighton was face guarding me this entire game, so I was kind of like, all right, just give me space. Because the play before this, we had ran the same thing, and I came off for another left-right three. So I just kind of knew I was getting the ball in this play. The play kind of broke down, and kind of just took it away and made a shot I work on all the time. Always work on right hezzy pull. And so just sized them up. It gave me a lot of space, I felt like, in my mind. And so I kind of just rose up into it.
Take me through, the little elbow face ups that you do. What are you trying to do with your defender here to create some space without a dribble?
I mean, I'm a shooter, so immediately I think face up and shoot. And right here, the floor is just it's too crowded to do anything really other than. But sometimes, most times I get here, I say, okay, if nobody's there, I'm shooting it. But then at the same time, I don't like to let anybody off the hook. So, if I feel like I'm shooting too much or, maybe I've already hit a few, I'm definitely going to try to get downhill first. You see, I always jab. I'm trying to jab, get downhill. But once he backs away, I'm not going to force it. I can shoot for a reason. So, but definitely try to get downhill and not let him off the hook first, but then not just force it too much. And if the shot's there, I got to shoot it. But that's vintage me. I've been doing that since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I love the little the ways you get him to bite and just get fidgety with his feet, with the jab and the little movements that just really crafty stuff from veteran player. I mean, he's just all over the place there. That's easy money, right? Like no dribbles, just king of the court style, like rise up, go get a bucket. But then you could hit these tough ones too, right? Like you talk about Zach Randolph with the footwork and the spins. Like, take me through this one.
Yeah, here, little DHO play, fake DHO. I think we had just ran it to the handoff for him as well. And again, originally, want to get downhill right here, want to get downhill left, but, does a great job cutting it off and, fake the spin. I was a little hot at this time too, so, fake the spin. And once I saw him go for that a little bit, come back around, shoot. And like I said, I'm 6'8", 6'9", and that guy guarding right there is probably about 6'4", 6'5". And again, it's me in the rim at that point. So, so again, another shot that I work on, another shot I feel comfortable with, and that's right in the area that I grew up playing in. So it is what it is.
At the next level, teams playing a more analytical style, they obviously not going to take away the strengths in different parts of your game, but it's about taking, the efficient shots. So this one got Rasheer Fleming, another, prospect in this class, little taller, a little more physical. Take me through this one and maybe, how you might approach this possession if you can get this one back.
Just got past that one. You lose it, pick it up, and then shoot a fade over two people. It's tough. It's tough. I don't really have anything other to say other than that. Obviously, you see my guy right there. Jay's going to be wide open as he comes across the top, and it's an easy pass. And for me, I think it's making the easy pass instead of trying to always make the assist, right? I think you're right here. He's stepping up, maybe a little bit late, but I should get off the ball right now. Like, lose it, just get off it. Now he's coming to get off it. Like, But, in-town rivalry, St. Joe's, early in the game. But definitely just get off it quicker. And I think at the next level, it's going to be easier for me to get off it quicker. I don't think if I lose the ball and I have Steph Curry right there, I'm not going to look off Steph. Right?
Smart man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just double click the fade on the look off, but yeah, I mean, just energy, nerves, and two people coming at me. A little bit of a panic shot, if I'm being honest. But uh, win
Yeah,
some,
that's
lose
part of the
some.
game, though, right?
Win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, but like you said, you move off that, right? Like, once he pokes it away, you kick it out. You could flow right into a ball screen there, right? You probably get it back. So I think that's the right mentality to have in those situations. But these kind of shots that we've been seeing from the mid range area, they open opportunities for you to get downhill and attack. And I think because of your size and your frame, you just represent such a mismatch opportunity here. You put a small guy on you like Kobe Gillespie here, you take him wherever you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, this one was, again, catch right there in the elbow spot. Been playing him my whole life, and just trying not to let him off the hook. So I
Mm-hmm.
jabbed left. He went left, but he was still up on me. But he gave the entire right side, um, as though it was only one handed. So, just take the space that's there, and then you see the shooter in the corner. They're not going to leave wood, and it just allows me to just get in right in there on an easy bank shot over what 6-2 is that. So, you know, just a easy, simple read. Just playing the game simple.
We saw you taking the mismatch with the small guy here. Now you're also a little too fast for bigs a lot of times too, right?
Yeah, I think that's maybe something that a lot of people don't realize or respect. Just my quickness, and again, it really stems from me being able to shoot it. Because if he's not that close, I'm going to let it go. And so, but again, I think just my quickness a lot of times gets underrated, gets overlooked. People look at me as kind of a brute that just like overpowers and goes through people. But I think if you watch closely, it's right here I'm attacking his hip, and I'm not going through him. Like I'm going around him. I'm going by him. But still being physical, still initiating contact, but kind of just that blend of attacking angles, attacking, but still attacking the body. I'm not going to go right through your chest because it's not intelligent. But at the same time, I don't want to go all the way around and give this 7-foot guy an angle to block it. So just attacking, to the side, but also getting right at his hip and just protecting the ball with my body. But I think, yeah, just quickness and physicality is kind of what makes it difficult, especially in those tight spaces with me.
Yeah, and finishing through the contact. You were 60% at the rim this year, so really effective finishing there. Even if it's not poster dunks, 60% on with good touch, and obviously the ability to absorb that contact is huge for finishing efficiently at the next level. And so I think that we've gone through a bunch of your clips showing different ways in which you could score. And I think that when you're a scorer, you have to be able to leverage your scoring to make guys better, right? And I think that this year we saw some really slick passes out of you as well. This time, you're in a little isolation. I like this one. You remember this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Marquette is one of those teams that always challenge you to play differently. I think for us, especially their trapping style. Villanova what to play out the post. A guard post up, big post up. What play in that short corner area. But if you do that against Marquette, you're cooked. The moment you go into a back down or a post up, they're trapping. They're coming right away, and that's really going to negate everything you're trying to get done. So for us, we already knew we were trying to get slot drives, top of the key drives, and really space them out. This situation right here, big fill up on me tight, go around them, help defenders there, and just see the shooter in the corner and kind of put off a field. So it's real simple.
Yeah. A little jump pass, looking like Tyrese Halliburton,
I mean, again, I mean, slot drive. Marquette does they do. They help deep, and then just you should make the right pass out of that. Sometimes it's not always the corner. Sometimes it's going to be the wing, but one of those two other guys on the other side are going to be open if you get past your first man. So we all did a good job of understanding that in this game, and that's why you see the score as it is.
Really creative, look, improvising, and I like this one too. Talk about playing out of the post, back to the basket. I like the decisiveness in your decision here. What are you looking at when you do have the ball in your hands to kind of make that read?
First thing first is where the trap coming from, right? Where the trap coming from, and then that first defender is always going to jump on the ball side guy. So kind of just trying to read that next man, whether it be the slot man or the wing man. You're going to see 22 come across. That's automatic. Every team does that, and then I'm just kind of reading 12 and seeing what's there. And my teammates did a good job of getting to the great spacing right there. You got 4 under the rim, Tyler Perkins under the rim, and then Dumont shooter on the backside. So that guy had to make a decision between the two, and as long as I got the ball over there successfully, we were going to have an advantage.
I like this one too. Kind of get again, similar spot, live dribble. I like the live dribble. Take me through that.
Yeah, I mean, again, go right here. Who I got? This really didn't matter. I thought they were going 1-on-1, but once I saw the big come from the middle, again, you got 0 at the rim, cutting, great spacing, and they've got to make a decision. So, I think I had seen this play a few times now, because a lot of teams, when they blitz me, they tend to blitz the same way throughout the game. So I had probably seen this situation a few times, and as soon as I seen the trap come, I knew where it was going to, especially with Wilkie being over there and Joe being at the rim. Easy.
Eric, I had a question about feel. I feel like recently I've heard people say that like you kind of have to be born. The reason why I'm bringing it up is like the way that you're explaining all this, right? It sounds like you're just reading things, right? And you're reading and reacting, right? And I don't know if like the way that you're describing it feels like, hey, we have a scouting report before we come into the game. We've got a game plan. We understand how the defense is going to be playing us. And so we just have to read and react, right? Which makes it sound like it can be taught, right? So wanted to kind of get some of your feedback on how you feel about feel. Like, is it something that you have to be born with, or is it something that, you can work on, develop, and then have that become a bit bigger part of your game?
I think it's definitely something that comes from playing, and then the earlier you get into it, the more feel you have. I've been playing organized basketball since I was 4 years old. But I think when you get to a higher level, this level, being the point guard or a go-to guy, the ability to utilize film and kind of look at tendencies of teams to take your feel to the next level. Like that Marquette play is a great example. Like I was that's a great pass to the baseline, but like I just told you, the moment I beat my man, I knew that Marquette was going to load up and help. So yes, the feel to be able to make that pass may be there, but like film study and watching them and paying attention to what they were doing the entire game also told me like that guy is going to be open over there.
Right.
And the same thing with UConn. They were blitzing me from the middle a lot, and they were one of the first teams that did the put a wing on me and then blitz with the center or the blitz with the 5. Put a wing on me, blitz with the 5 man. They were the first team to do that. So once I saw them, on the second time around, kind of studying my film, their film, and just knowing how they were going to attack. Yeah, it's film, but it's also, I somewhat knew what was coming in that situation.
Are there, any guys who have come through Villanova that you've gotten a chance to talk to and that are in the league and kind of pick their brains on, different habits and what they've done to kind of succeed in the league? Because obviously, there's a lot of Villanova guys that are playing high level basketball in the league right now, and they all kind of, when you think of a Villanova guy, you think of kind of like a toughness, kind of a resiliency and kind of a winning play style. So has there been anybody that have come through that you've gotten a chance to talk to over the years?
I mean, obviously, you have your Jalen Brunsons and your Mikal Bridges and, your Dantes and your Joshes. And, I'll say for JB, he probably wouldn't even know it, but just him coming back the summer before he went up to New York, in between the Dallas and New York like free agency, him coming back and watching him work every single day and just seeing how he approached it, how he approached us, being open to having discussions. Like, at this point, I'm just getting to the point where I'm playing, and guys kind of respect me. And so, it's like anything. You can start to be allowed in conversations that you weren't allowed in before. And so, just hearing the way that he talked about, the pro level and how he approached it, and how to be a killer and how to be a professional, took that a lot from him. And then I would say for Mikhail, we kind of have the same workout spot in the off season. There's a popular spot, for Philly guys to go to down in Jersey. So, we kind of same workout spot. And I would watch him work on these shots, and I'm like, why are you working on that, right? And because it wasn't, that it wasn't shots that people normally work on, but then he gets to the game and I see him shoot the exact same shot, and I'm like, okay, I see it. You put in the real time reps, and I've watched you make this shot 100 times. I've literally 100 times myself. You probably made it 500 times. You know what I mean? In that span. So just to see his work come to fruition was good to see. And then guys that you guys probably don't know, like Javon Pinkston, James Bell, Daniel Chefu, Chris Jenkins, like those guys coming back, and those guys helped me from a game standpoint, like a leadership standpoint, how important it is to be a Villanova guy. Although those guys taught me about that kind of stuff, and but the pros definitely helped me just by being pros.
Eric, really quickly, this is something that I like to ask a lot of prospects, but it's something I think about all the time. I ask myself, I ask my coworkers at my day job, like, why is this important to you, right? And it's easy and like, oh, it's the NBA, like it's my dream since I was a kid, right? There are a lot of different reasons you can come up with, but wanted to ask you specifically. You're like right there, right? You're working out for teams. The draft is, it's going to be next week. Why is this important to you? Making the NBA, being an NBA player. Why are you pursuing this? Why is this so important to you specifically?
I think everything for me comes back down to where I'm from. I'm from Abington, Pennsylvania, and it means a lot to me. I went to public high school. I have the same friends I've had since I was 6, 7, 8 years old, and I do it for them. It's always been bigger than me. I've never gone anywhere and just did it for myself. And, it's a basketball community for sure. But we haven't had too many pros over the years. But you wouldn't know it the way that they care about the game, and growing up around it, and just going to high school games and watching those guys play. And then me being in high school and me touching lives in the community. Like, just walking to the park and kids walking up to me, ask for pictures, and just ask for a conversation, and just having a positive impact on people. And so for me, I'm at this place that I'm right there. Just kind of show everybody that you can do it. Where I'm from. You don't have to be from the inner city, or you don't have to be from a super super small town. Like you can be from a normal neighborhood, and make it if you just work hard and do the right things and treat people the right way. So and then obviously my mom and dad have given everything to me since the dad was born, and a lot of travel, a lot of tough times, a lot of them pumping me up and believing in me on some of my worst nights. And so, for them, and my community, those are definitely two main factors. Biggest.
But before we get chat here, we usually do a segment on our show called "Sell Me This Pen," where Albert will do a little elevator pitch on the prospect on why an NBA team should invest. So, since you're here, we're going to let you end the show with the "Sell Me This Pen." So, why should an NBA team invest in Eric Dixon?
We touched on it throughout this conversation, but I think I'm a guy who can fill many different roles. Throughout many different lineups. Maybe with one lineup you need me to be a small ball five, I can do that. Maybe one lineup you need me to be stretching the floor, I can do that. If you need me to be a secondary playmaker, short roll, get other guys involved, go screen, go get people open, I do that as well. And a lot of people think I think people forget that, like, we went to the Final Four that year. I was a really high level offensive rebounder, just positioning and getting extra positions for my team. I think that's something that's big in the league right now: rebounding, offensive rebounding, and getting extra possession. So I think that's one of the things that I do well. And then, like I said, everybody wants to talk about on the court versatility. I think off the court as well. I'm a pretty simple dude. You don't gotta worry about me doing too much of anything. come in, work hard, do what you ask me to do. I try to always be bigger than me. I never beat myself about anything that I do. And so, just for those reasons, I think simple, hardworking dude that, is only going to try to elevate in the organization that I go to and try my best and not take anything away from it.
Well, Eric, we're excited to see your journey, and like you said, we're a couple of weeks away, so this is an exciting time. You should be excited and proud, and I know you'll make your town proud and your family as well. So, thank you for chopping it up with us on the No Ceiling show. And obviously you're invited back anytime, and appreciate you taking the time, man.
I appreciate you both, taking time to break down some film of a, simple post player, from Villanova. So, good.